Hi everyone, I'm Daniel. We're going to do another one of these revisiting all of the player cards from a particular set videos, and it's kind of a fun time. I'm excited to think about all these cards again for the first time in a while. I haven't looked over them when I created this the tier list, so it was gonna be kind of raw thoughts. But just going into it with the circle undone, I have a few things that are just in my mind already. And one, I think the mystic spells are kind of a big deal in this set. And I think that there's a lot of really interesting rogue cards too. So we're gonna see how they have held up over the years. Now, I do have a tier list that helps us talk about this. And if you've watched these videos before, you have seen this before. So let's explain what these different tiers are. And there's a lot of caveats here. This to me is a vehicle to talk about cards. This is not something that I lose any sleep over about which tier things get into, but it's really just about how do we view the cards now over time. We're getting closer and closer to the modern day card pool with each set. So this stuff looks a little bit, I don't know, it's less important maybe, but my goal for these videos is to talk to players who are thinking about, is it worth going back and buying one of these sets given what the card pool looks like now? Maybe you've picked up Hemlock Vale, Edge of the Earth, maybe a few of the earlier sets like Dunwich. Is it worth going to pick up the Circle Undone as well? Does it fit nicely into the card pool with all the investigators? Speaking of, before I talk about this anymore, there's a big caveat here with the investigators and the cards that came out in this set. That a lot of the cards here kind of were weird when they came out because the investigators that came in the box, Carolyn Fern, Preston Fairmont specifically, could not take them. Carolyn is a Guardian 0 to 3, and she can't take weapons that are level 1 and above. So she's kind of weird. Preston can't take any illicit cards, so he couldn't take some things in this box either. So I'm going to try to give. I'm trying not to hold that against these cards, which I think were really meant for Tommy and Tony, who came out in the next set too, but things got shuffled around a bit. We also have a sixth investigator in this box, which was Marie. So the mystic stuff also may or may not play well with what she was trying to do. Okay. So still one of the best. That's the top tier here. Really means that these cards were really good when they came out, and they're still just as playable. They find their way into lots and lots of decks, and they do what the card really wants to do, and for good value. I tend to value cards. This is not just like a tier list for the cards themselves, but when I evaluate cards, I think about what does this card want to do? How well does this card help me do it? And then lastly, is the thing that this card wants to do worth doing? With a larger card pool and more investigators, that last question of can you do that weird niche archetype is much more possible. So I don't want to say, I don't want to use that against the cards as much as well, but I will mention if some of these archetypes are more well supported. Still good. That's the second one here. Basically means that I view the card as still being, um, fine. It hasn't gotten much better, hasn't really gotten any worse, but it isn't one of these cards that's like extremely good that everyone talks about a lot. Now, the next two have sometimes caused some consternation in the comments because they are about if the card has changed. Is it trending up? Is it getting better? Has it found a home now? Or the reverse, it's gotten outclassed. I think those are the most interesting categories to talk about, but of course, I'm also throwing things in there without necessarily saying that they're good or bad now. It's just that the card pool and investigator set has improved them. Yeah, this could be two more tiers: trending up but good, trending up but bad. I guess two more for each of them, right? Trending down, or I suppose we just change them to each of that, but trending down but good, trending down but bad. I'll talk about it as the time comes, but I don't want to. I don't want you to pay too much attention to that. It's not the point of the video to have even extra tiers here. Still just okay. I think these cards are fine. They will find their home in a lot of different decks, but probably there's something at issue, like it's too expensive or not really most people's play styles. maybe just needs a little bit more, and maybe in the future we'll find that card in the trending up. And then lastly, bad then, bad now. I don't personally think that many cards are bad in Arkham Horror, the card game. It doesn't mean that I think all the rest of them are equally good. That's a completely different discussion, right? But there's very few unplayable cards. I don't know if that is true for these guys. We'll see. Plus, we'll also mention that the taboo list has changed some of these cards. I am going to include that as a factor. So if the taboo list has changed the card for the better, then hooray, maybe it's trending up. If it's changed it to make it less good, maybe it doesn't go into still one of the best, but probably still gets to still good. I'm not going to dock it points for like trending down for those sort of minor things. These trending up and trending down categories are not supposed to be like, oh well, now there's like another card and therefore it's this much better. Like, no, we're talking about like huge shifts in the way that people view the card in the first place. Okay, enough chit chat. Let's dive right in with our first card, which is, I think it's Steadfast. Let's get the, yep, there we go. So this card, I'm probably not going to read every card. There's 85 of them here. Yes, I played this card quite a bit until recently. And maybe it's just personally, but I think it's trending down because I'm more willing to take damage and horror on the chin, and I don't think the +3 to willpower um or combat is that good. I think you play something like Take the Initiative instead, which of course came out before this. Um I'm gonna just throw it in still just okay then. I honestly don't think it's gotten worse. It's just I've played it less. I feel like I can do other things with my health and sanity where this starts to not be as interesting. It's an innate skill, so Silas, who came out later, although also kind of earlier, I think, um, likes this, but it's not too interesting. I think it's still just an okay card. Level 0 skills tend to fit into that issue. It doesn't have a whole lot of other combos, like as an innate skill in Guardian, there's not much to talk about. In Survivor, maybe a little bit more. Okay, next one. And I know there's a button to go to the next. All right, we got there. So, Delay the Inevitable is the second card in Guardian, and this is really a nice card for Diana. It's worth playing in Joe for his Hunch deck because it is an insight and it costs 2. Calvin can play it, I suppose. I don't think he necessarily wants to, but it's fine. I don't think it's gotten any better with any other investigators. You play it in them, and you basically don't play it in anyone else. I think it's just too expensive otherwise. So we're just going to put it in still just okay. It's a really easy way for Diana to get her cancels in, but fine. I mean, it's just not that exciting of a card. Okay, Interrogate is a card that taboo list has hit for the better, kind of. It says choose a humanoid enemy at your location, and this has been replaced with choose a non-elite enemy at your location and test combat 3 plus difficulty for the damage value. Now, this is a strange one for the taboo list because it actually made it so it's unplayable against elite enemies, and the original allowed you to, say, parlay with Net Mason at the end of the first scenario of the Circle Undone. Probably made for that situation. I don't know why they didn't add a elite clause like they did with Persuasion. Well, Persuasion already had it on the card, but it's kind of weird that they thought it would be too powerful if this targeted elite enemies, any elite, and not just humanoid ones. I don't know. It's almost like a lateral move here. Like it's more playable when it's any enemy, but some of the cool tech that you could do was to use it on the elites in the first place. I don't think this card is that bad. I think people don't play it because they don't like doing a tough test. But if you're Nathaniel Cho, if you're Mark Harrigan, I think this is a good way to get clues. Issues like scene of the crime is right there. No test. I don't even think Alessandra makes this any better because she doesn't really want to do a um, a combat test. So we're just going to leave it in still just okay. It's got its places, but it really doesn't. It's not bad. It's just not a bad card. But I don't think you are looking to put this in that many decks. Let's keep going. Ace of Swords. Okay. This is a good way to give anyone who has Guardian 0 to, well, Guardian 1 access, a way to improve their combat stat. Not necessary in some Guardians, but in others, I think it's pretty good. I'm going to throw this into still good because combat to me is one of these stats that you can't afford to just be hovering around like 3 or 4. You need to boost it up, and to boost it up at all times is quite good. I like this in York because if he doesn't find it early, it could go in his short supply maybe, and then it's almost as good as starting in his opening hand. Alice Luxley, I think, has been slept on by the whole community this whole time. I think it was always very good, but I think she's a lot better now because there's other ways to get clues other than investigating. Her problem was, how do you do this when I'm engaged with an enemy? You deal the damage to the enemy when you get a clue, right? But if you're getting a clue, you're generally going to take an attack of opportunity. That's not so true anymore. There's other ways to do this. If you watch me play Skid, so Tool, the parlay stuff in Hemlock Vale made this card do a lot of work. I think she's trending up, but I also think she was always good. So let's throw her in there. Next up, something worth fighting for. 3 cost, no slot for 3 Horror Soak across the team. It's too expensive. I think it's playable in a limited card pool, but this is really expensive. Tommy, it likes this. Again, I'm trying not to say like Carolyn has no interest in this, right? Joe Diamond can play it okay, but it's still quite expensive for what it's worth. The team soak part is neat for Carson, who came out much later, but he's got other ways to deal with this, right? We've got the Obsidian Bracelet that kind of outclasses this. I know it takes up a slot, this doesn't, but I don't think 3 is enough for justifying this. Whenever I've tried to play this even in Tommy, I'm like, God, an action and 3 resources to put this down. You get it refunded later, but I almost want to put this into bad. I'm never really interested in playing this card. Okay, next up we've got Well Maintained. Level 1 card, fast, play only during your turn, attached to an item asset that you control. And after you discard, it gets discarded, then you get to bring that card back to your hand along with all other upgrades. All right, there's some fun stuff here you can do with like grenades. You can do this with the ancient stones. This is a pretty good card. It's going to always get better the more upgrades that you have to latch onto this. And we have more of them now. So we're going to say trending up. I've never really found a slot in my deck for this ability, but if you're playing the Carolyn Fern Ancient Stones combo, like this is kind of an important part of it. But if you're stacking like I'll Take That or something, or custom modifications or custom ammunition, this is actually not bad. I think it's a good card. Okay. Moving on, we've got the 45 Thompson. There's actually a level 0 one that we haven't seen yet. It's coming up somewhere. In fact, do I want to like look at that one first? Gosh, it's under the multi-class cards. I don't think I can skip ahead. I don't think that's that easy to do here. Hold on, maybe I will. Okay, I found it. We'll do this one and the Enchanted Blade. Actually, if we can get all the level 0 multi-class cards at once, that would be pretty nice. Okay. This is a super expensive gun. Preston can't take it. Carolyn doesn't want it. But other investigators that have been released to this point really do want this kind of effect. That you just spend a bunch of money and you have a +2 fight, +1 damage weapon with a lot of ammo. That's worth taking up 2 hand slots. I think this card is still good. It's very playable. The problem with it is it's expensive, and that is not always something you could deal with. In Rogue, I think that's gotten easier. There's ways to discount this now, but I think this card is still just good. Good for having a weapon that does actually kill enemies without any other strings attached. Okay, let's go back to this one, which is the Enchanted Blade, because many people have looked at this as the like improved 45 automatic, because for Guardians who don't care about the arcane slots, this only has 3 charges, but gives you a +2 to your fight and gives you the extra damage. And when it has no charges, you can still just use it as a boosted fight. It's good. I think you play this in a lot of decks, even if you don't want to. I think it's not interesting if you keep playing this over and over again, but I don't think it's gotten any better over time. There's maybe more stuff with charges. I think the upgraded ones we can talk about more, but I think for its cost, only 3, this card is still very good at level 0. Okay, I'm going to go hunt around for the other ones. I think the Grizzly Totem is here. Yep. Let's talk about this one. So, yeah, this one is in Seeker and in Survivor. And the extra skill icon for something that you commit can be good. In Seeker, I think this is okay for level 0. And for Survivor, I don't know. Like, there's other things to put in this slot, and it's so expensive for not much. Like, I love to have it in play. I hate taking the action and the 3 resources to put it in play. I'm going to put this in still just okay. There's not much that's made it better. There's not much that's made it worse. It's here. Sour Mash. I don't like this card. This, similarly to the Grizzly Totem, costs 3 resources and an action to put down. In Rogue, that's okay. In Survivor, I mean, you can make it work, but its ability to give you +2 willpower for a skill test on a treachery card can be very handy. In Rogues, though, it's kind of bad because you're putting a lot into this card to probably fail a test anyway. Imagine you're a 1 or 2 willpower rogue and you get +2 on a Rotting Remains, let's say. Rotting Remains is not so bad because actually it makes sense for that because you, for every point you fail by, it's worse. But something that's just like a Crypt Chill, let's say. Or, I mean, Crypt Chill, you could just get rid of this. I don't know, some other treachery that is a willpower test that you just want to pass. And this gives you +2, you draw the -2, and you fail anyway. You might as well have just not spent your card slot, your resources, your action, putting this into play. It's gotten a little better with more rogues that have 3 or more willpower. It's gotten better with Bob. I don't think the card's still very good. But I think it actually used to be worse. I think it's gotten a little bit better because it's illicit. It can fill out your underworld market, and you don't feel so bad about that. It's not taking up as much of a contended slot. So I'm going to put it in trending up, even though I hate this card. We did that one already. I guess it's Scroll of Secrets that's left. Yes, here we go. This card as printed, you can see there is an action to exhaust and spend a secret. You're looking at the bottom of anyone's deck, putting that card in that person's hand, or discarding it, or putting it on the bottom of the deck anyway. Could be the encounter deck as well, right? No, that's the upgraded Mystic one. This is so good. It was awful as printed, but they tabooed it to now not cost an action. It is a free triggered ability. So it is in like every deck now. Like, why don't you play this? It's 1 cost. Costs nothing for drawing 3. I mean, it takes up a hand slot and all, but it compares very favorably to, say, Preposterous Sketches, right? Because this draws 3. You still have an action to play it, but it's only 1 resource. It's just that you don't get all the cards at once. Yeah. Trending up for sure. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the Guardian cards. So the upgraded Thompson. This one is just like the level 0 one, except for every bullet that you spend is now a resource. So it refunds itself almost. I think this card has gotten, it was still good, but this has gotten a lot better now that you can refill it more easily and attach more things to it. So this is a very, very solid weapon in anyone who wants to, has 0 to 3 access, really. It's awesome. Again, the hand slots can be a problem, but you getting the resources back. We're going to see later in the set, I think Act of Desperation is in here. That's a really good card to combo with this. But we have a lot of other effects that put ammo back onto this or use ammo as if it's on this card. So I think this has become an even more powerful weapon at level 3. This, however, is not one of those cards that helps. Warning shot. As additional cost to play it, spend 1 ammo from a firearm asset. Move all non-elite enemies at your location to a connecting location. This doesn't provoke attacks opportunity. We don't have unlimited ammo. Like, this has never been something I would want to play, and it still isn't. If by some miracle you have extra ammo and you have several non-elite enemies and you want to spend 2 resources for this effect, it's not even fast. It costs an action. Awful. Just don't think the rate is good for playing it at level 0. Like, make me an upgraded version. Oh yeah, there is one that costs less. It's still not good. Okay, this is the upgraded enchanted blade. I don't see this one played as much. It's nice. It draws you a card, it heals you a horror, feels really good for, say, a roll in banks. That +2 for attacks is good. The arcane slot and guardian, you don't mind so much. Akachi's pretty okay with this. I don't think that it's outclassed necessarily these days, but I'm not sure how much people want to use this versus just uh a better weapon. Like, I'm gonna put it in a trending down. Again, maybe I just said it's not outclassed, but I think there are more things you can do to improve one-handed weapons at lower levels rather than rely on this guy. Um, I just don't think this is a 3 XP card that's going to be your end game for Guardian. Akachi, yeah, I don't know. I'm a little down on this card, I suppose. Maybe I shouldn't be. Telescopic sight. Okay, this one attaches to a firearm. It's an upgrade like things we saw earlier. It has to be something that has 2 hand slots, I suppose. And when you perform a fight action using the attached asset, if you are engaged with no enemies, exhaust this, and it can target a non-elite enemy at a connecting location, ignore the aloof, and retaliate keywords for this attack. Has this been tabooed? It has. It no longer has that effect of you can't use it to attack enemies engaged with you. Okay. So, theoretically, you're spending 3 resources, a card, not an action, and this helps you all the time target non-elites at connecting locations, ignoring aloof retaliate. So it can save you an action to move and an action to engage if it's aloof. It sounds good, but for 3 XP and 3 resources, I don't think it is. You have to be doing this an awful lot to care about that. What if you could ignore elusive with this too? Would that be cool? I don't know. We're gonna go with just okay. I'm gonna be generous and say that this card is okay. I just, I don't know. Maybe it's even just bad. I don't think anyone ever played it before, and I'm not sure that the text saying that you cannot use it to well, I mean, yes, the text that says that you can't use your gun to fire things that are attached to you is just awful, right? And getting rid of that is good, but I still don't know if you're gonna throw this into a deck unless you're really playing some sort of sniper build, right? Like you do Cat Burglar or something in Leo, you move away, then you shoot things, but why? Things have to be, an awful lot of things have to be aloof for this to be worth it. If you get some like aloof weaknesses or something, I can see something, but it's a lot of XP for this effect, right? What's it? Marksmanship that already exists and does sort of the same thing once. I think that's way better than attaching this card for your asset all the time. All right, let's get going. We have 60 more cards to go. 63 more cards. Mark 1 grenades. Yes, this is Storm of Spirits. This is cool. This is still good. I don't play it much, but I think it does a lot. Let's keep going. Agency backup. This is trending up. Here's why. The 7 cost is maybe prohibitive in a lot of decks, but someone like Charlie with motivational speech, or anyone with motivational speech, starts to look at this and say, I bet I can make that work better. Tommy, I said, kind of was made for this because Carolyn can't even take it. But yeah, you got Tommy, you got Carson. Like, I think there's other homes for this card where the resources aren't that big of a deal. And man, I love the 7 cost, 5 XP, does all the things on the card. I mean, that's a little bit of a Timmy effect, right? But it's good. It's really good. And I just think it's more playable now. I've had worse. Okay, this is still one of the best cards. I think this was a great cancel for. Oh, I'm sorry, you couldn't see some of that stuff up there a second ago. That's where I put the grenades. Um, this card, I wish they placed this into the revised core instead of the level 4. This card's amazing. You can play it in so many different investigators. It can go in Calvin, it can go in Diana, it can go in Joe, go in Roland. And just to not take 2 of one particular thing that you care about and get resources instead for the low cost of a card slot and 2 XP, fantastic. I think this card is still one of the best. Easy way to cancel things in Diana, but everyone has a little bit of an Achilles heel in terms of a kind of test that they're not going to be able to pass that might deal them damage or horror. This is great. Really great. Hallowed Mirror. For a long time, this was the thing that you put into a Guardian deck. There weren't a lot of other cards to put in your accessory slot. So you could put this into play. You get the soothing melodies that you see here on the screen. Later, you draw them. You heal off of allies or investigators, which is good for Beat Cop, good for Field Agent now, good for the agency backup that we just saw. For Carolyn, obviously, you're healing and getting resources back. For Vincent Lee, you're getting a on the mend. This is still fantastic. I think it's overplayed. I think it's overplayed, but it's never a wrong thing to put into your deck unless you just don't have the actions to put this into play and then use later. I think you will though. I think you will as a guardian. All right, we have moved into Mystic World, and 4 cups is still really good. Mystics want to use one number, one stat, and that stat is willpower. Prophecy, or prophesy, or something. While there are 3 or more doom in play, this gains a wild. While there's 6 or more, it gets 2. So this is for Marie, kind of, but you have Amina now who cares about this. Maybe another Doom Investigator? I don't think so. It's kind of those. It's in the cycle of the Curiosity, Steadfast, etc. I don't know. I think it's okay. It's still just okay. Like, Amina to me isn't going to say, like, well, there's Dexter also. I find it still a bit awkward to use. It's a bit awkward to use because you have it in your hand. Sometimes you just need to commit it and you don't get full value. It's much harder to avoid using this than it is some of these other cards. And I like to wait to use full value from my cards. Eldritch Inspiration. Okay, there's a level 1 version of this that makes it work for any symbols, not just these guys. So this is trending down for the mere fact that you'd rather have the level 1 version. This is okay for Diana, but I think a lot of people would rather just hold out for the other one. Of course, on this other hand, if you're not playing those other cards like the Azure Flames of the world or Eye of Chaos or something, then this works fine. But yeah. Deny Existence. I'm honestly not a huge fan of Deny Existence. Now, we can throw this into trending down because of the ruling on the card or on cards in general about for each or for every. because Deny Existence only lets you ignore a single instance of damage or horror. And if you get, say, uh, a card that says, for every point you fail by, either do this or take a horror. You do not get to bundle them all up into one as chunk of horror and deny it all, which I think is in many cases good for the game. Like for Diana's weakness, for example, you don't just like ignore it all and say, I don't have a weakness, or Sister Mary. I think this is a good ruling. Some other cards, though, were not designed with that in mind. So, back to this card, though. It stops being a silver bullet to a lot of things because it can't cover as much. It's still good. It still does what it says, but all right, let's just leave it in still good. I don't think it's lost that much in terms of its effect with the increased card pool. It's really just the ruling, and that theoretically shouldn't change anything. I think this is still a good card. Banish. Never played it. Use only on a non-elite enemy. This evasion attempt uses willpower, of course. If you succeed, move the enemy to any revealed location in play. If you succeed in one of those symbols was revealed, and I think this has been tabooed to be any symbol, then it doesn't ready during the next upkeep phase. It sounds good on the tin, but none of these evade skills or events spells have ever made me want to play them. Doesn't mean that I shouldn't. But since I don't think this is doing, I mean, it is doing a lot, right? It's moving it doesn't ready, potentially. And that card looks a lot better when you can make it happen more often. Okay, look, I'm going to be nice. These kinds of cards get better when you have cards like Olive McBride 2 that have made token fishing a real thing. So, yes, I'm going to be nice. Next up is Sign Magic. This is the level 0 version. There is a level 3 in the Return to Circle Undone. It's going to give you an extra arcane slot, and you are using up a hand slot. It's not great. It's a lot of resources for that. At least it's fast. Mystics do need their arcane slots, but they are not unhappy to use their you know what? It's bad, right? You could do something better to get extra arcane slots these days. But I don't think it was good at the beginning either, because you could use your hand slots for things like, well, we're going to see one of the cards in a minute, but I don't think it's worth a slot in your deck. Like, just shuffle through your stuff more often. Use a Book of Shadows or something, maybe. I'm going to put it down there. That may be unfair. Level 3 version's really good, though. Wither. Wither, wither, wither. Okay, so this is fulfilling a niche of how do I deal with odd health enemies in Mystic when I don't have spells that are just doing, one damage at a time. This is that card, right? So Enchanted Blade helps, but this could do it too. The stuff about the tokens is not particularly good, but the question is it worth a card that does 1 damage at a time forever? Sword Cane is the better version of this. It takes up a hand slot, which is good, right? The problem with Wither is it takes up a arcane slot as well when you want a Shriveling out instead. Okay, fine, that's what Sign Magic is for. That's a lot of things to put into play. But Sword Cane also lets you evade, and it gives you the ability to do the attack when you play it also. Was it bad when it came out? Is it still bad? Yes. Yes. 6 cents, though, is level 0 is fine. Like, this is, I think it's gotten a little bit better again with the token fishing in general, but I don't think you really want to play it for the token fishing. You're playing this level 0 version for its ability to use willpower instead of intellect forever and ever. Wither is bad because you never really want to do one damage at a time. Sixth Sense, getting one clue, actually quite good. In fact, normal. Still good. There's better. And we'll see better. Divermus Mysteris. I have heard so many good things about this card. It sounds kind of sick. You put Doom on it, and then you can play a spell or insight event from your discard pile. And we haven't seen the cool spells yet. We've seen them in the next set in Dream Eaters. So I'm going to put this into trending up because I think that there's more Doom play that's possible, and there's more spell or insight events that you would want to recur. I think it's better than I give it credit for, but I think that it fits better into more decks these days too. Level 3 Enchanted Blade. I've played it in Gym. I've played it in Akachi. I just don't think it's very good. It may have fulfilled a niche before, but I think there's more combat spells that are just better because this just takes up an arcane slot already. Let's say it's trending down as well. The level 3 Scroll of Secrets is good for Gloria, and I don't know if anyone else wants this. It does have the same free triggered ability as the level 0 that we saw earlier in the taboo list. But you look at the top or bottom card of any Investigator's deck or the encounter deck, discard it, add to its owner's hand, place at the bottom. 3 XP for this effect over the level 0 version, I think is tough. We're going to put it in still just okay. Diana Esperance. Attach a non-weakness spell event. I'm just going to cut it there. This card has gotten better because there are more spell events. Anyway, this lets you use a spell 3 times, basically. Deny Existence, I think, is a great example of what you put here, and we'll see another version of it in a second. But there's more spell events in the game. That's just it. This is a good card. I don't see it played that much unless you're really doing the spell slinging thing all the time, but I think it's quite good. Yeah, this is such a good card. So this version of Deny Existence lets you, instead of taking 3 damage, for example, on a Grasping Hands, you heal the 3 damage. And Vincent can take this, Carolyn can take this. It is such a game changer. You can start to play a little bit differently, where you are okay with tanking some early tests, knowing that you're going to heal it all back. Yeah. While Deny Existence level 0 is like lost a little bit, I don't think this one has. I think that ability is worth your 5 XP. And with things like Down the Rabbit Hole or Arcane Research or whatever, it's really not even that expensive. Okay. I like that card a lot. I don't play it. I don't put it into enough Mystic decks these days, but I think if you don't have to play it to be like, oh, this is a really good card to not worry about the Mythos phase. It's a card that allows you to play a little bit more fast and loose. And here's level 4 Sixth Sense. It's trending up, honestly, but I think this is always a banger of a card. I'm just going to leave it up at still one of the best because this level 4 version allows you to get 2 clues with 1 action. It was always like pretty reasonable to get that to occur with, say, Olive or something, which already exists in the card pool. With more token fishing effects that we have now, it's easier, and the ability is amazing. I'm not putting in trending up just because it was already so good. This was like a reason to play Mystic. Doesn't have charges, can clear the board, you can move away from locations and get the clues that you left behind. That's really strong to me. Level 4 Wither is surprisingly good. And it always was. It's just that nowadays it's easier to hit that ability. It's cheap. 2 resources is a lot better than 3, honestly. Sounds like nothing, but it really is. And the ability to do the extra damage does happen more than you think. So I'm going to put it here with the same logic of Sixth Sense 4, that it's gotten a lot better over time. but it never really was amazing. Probably because Wither level 0 was so bad. So, as a consolation prize, it gets to go here. Oh no. Don't put this in your deck on purpose. Yeah, sorry if you can't see what's up here now. Yeah, do not put Ace of Rods in your deck. It needs to go there if you're playing Circle Undone. It's required, but ugh. All right, we already went through these. Let's go look at them real quickly. Yep. We did these. The Council Coffer. This is bad, right? It sounds cool, but I think it's really bad. I've never seen anyone say, yeah, we're going to do this campaign. Maybe if you have Bandy on the team or something. All right, where is it down here? Here. This is a bad card. It takes way too long for something that your deck should already do on its own. Okay, let's move on. Anna Caslow. Oh no, has she gotten any better? So she had the problem of being really, really frail, 1/1 soak for 4 XP. She allowed you to have multiple tarot cards in play, which is neat. But now that Moon Pendant is out there, it's just better. So this was like the way to make that deck work. And now we're going to throw it into trending down because, I mean, it wasn't good, but it was kind of what you needed to do. Now it's been outclassed. All right, where are you, Anna? I don't see her. I found her. Put her in trending down. Again, always was bad, but so much worse now. So much worse. The Moon. I think this card has gotten better. It's not trending up because I think, it's not still good because this card has spent more with more investigators who care about their agility and more things to deal with your agility. That is the end of the story. This card is actually quite good. Cunning. So it's in the same Steadfast, etc. series. It's not particularly nice of a card. Like, it gets you some icons once, but the big money cards are fine. I think this is just going to go into still just okay. Like, the awkward part with Preston is that he doesn't really want to use this because he doesn't need to use his stats all that often. And he probably should have other things in that deck slot instead. But there's other people who could make use of this, like a Jenny, a Winifred, right? Like, it's okay. I think you can do better. Money talks. Um, yeah. So it's an alternative way of using your money compared to just using a stat. I think he played in Preston, maybe. Does it still have a home in him? Can he do better things? Probably not sometimes. Good thing to hold on to. Let's throw this into still just okay. It's a level 0 card that I'm not huge on compared to, say, Well Connected, which has gotten a lot better. I think it's easier to make money, and it's easier to want to use it every single turn. All right, down here. Let's put it in trending up. Good card. My goodness, every rogue can be a big money rogue now, and this card makes the payoff incredible. Okay, Henry Wan. Still bad. Yes, you can do something with him with Frost tokens and Bless and Curse. Fine. I'm not putting him in trending up for that reason. He's a criminal. If he were cursed, then maybe I could see it. But he's not. I'm going to put him in still bad. I'm sorry. Intel report. This card is still good. I don't think it's gotten better, but it's still doing exactly what it needs to do. I don't think there's any special synergy other than the Edge of the Earth card that lets you pay for it. Antiquary? Swift Reflexes. It's okay. I think this card is more playable than people think. It skids its ability, but you can play it out of turn, which can be good. As a payoff for big money, maybe looping through your deck a bunch of times. I did this with Kaimani. Being able to spend your money on extra action is pretty decent. But it's not the best. Upgraded Tennessee Sour Mash. This is better. It's still 3 XP though. So Bob can play this, but it's fast, so why would he want to? Like I said earlier, there's more people who might want to use it for the willpower than there were before. And the +3 twice is better than +2. Is it better than it used to be? Underworld Market. You can throw this away for extra damage. There's a lot of things to like here. The problem is the 3 XP. It's all right. Someone needs to sell me on this card. Like, have you had a campaign where this has been like a rock star or something, or just really saved you from a big spot where you felt like that 3 XP was important in this card and not somewhere else? Let me know. Investments. Oh no, these are bad. And this has gotten like these were always bad, I think, because it just was so slow and unnecessary for, say, Preston. But it's been so outclassed by the Unscrupulous Loan. Not a good card. Not a horrible card. Like, I think it's somewhat playable, but Decoy. So pay money to evade an enemy. Pay 2 for 1, pay 4 for 2, and pay 6 for them being further away. So this competes with cards in Survivor, I think, that do the same thing. It is an evade, so it does not provoke attacks opportunity, which is way better than the thing we're going to see next. I think this is like gonna live in still good. Ooh, the 45 Thompson, the Rogue one. So you could upgrade that level 0 or just buy the level 3 version in Rogue. And this one is a funky card. I feel like it's going to need a home because it doesn't have one right now. A Succeed by Rogue, well, I mean, it's Tony, that needs the action compression, which Tony doesn't. So what's fun about this one is you spend the ammo to basically automatically succeed on a test against the other enemy, but you need to succeed by the right amount. And, well, I mean, you can make it happen, but I really want this card to work. You know how cool it'd be to play this in Skids and commit the Vicious Blow level 2 to it, and then maybe like a Strong Armed or something, and then suddenly you're doing, I don't know, 5 damage to 2 enemies at once? That's sick. Is it trending up for that reason? Did I just come up with a cool spot for it? Michael McGlenn better want to play this card, right? Okay. Okay, you can't see things now because the card is in the way, so let's start putting things on this side. Okay. I think this card should be getting better. There's more that you can do with it. Oh no, Strong Armed can't do the extra damage. Long Shot? Not by Skids. Okay, I'm going to leave it here because I'm hoping that Michael McGlenn wants to play this. Oh, Skids could do custom modifications and give it silver bullets. There we go. Small favor. It's okay. It's not bad. The problem with this card is it provokes attacks opportunity, but the purpose of it is to not be engaged with the enemy in the first place. So it's kind of an expensive sneak attack. But if you have money, I think it's pretty good. The best use of this card is for aloof enemies. If you know you've got a weakness that's aloof, or the campaign has aloof enemies, this is pretty good. Otherwise, probably not. More money? Starting with money is huge. I think this just goes into still good. I don't think it's gotten better, but I think it's if you have XP and you're like, I don't know what to do, this is fine. You'll be happy. But embezzled treasure is kind of better, right? You owe me one. This card was always good. People just didn't want to play it. I'm going to put it up there. It doesn't sound like much, but if you play, and I think you should, such that you have other investigators' cards in their hand that you could play for them, and you get a card out of that too, doesn't have to be something that you put in your control, which would be cool, but you can play it and just, I've done this before, play a stand together, and then you both get a card and the two resources out of that, especially if they are engaged with an enemy or something. It's actually pretty good. It also combos with double double extremely well. I'm going to put this at the top. It's gotten better for sure, but even with this set, with a lot of really interesting events, this card kicks some butt. It really does. It better for 8 XP, right? 8 XP, 4 resources, a 1 of, it better do a lot. But the difference between playing your hot streak and getting just 7 resources versus getting 14 for the 1 card is amazing. So I'll just leave it at that. Really good for the investigators who came up before. I think it's fantastic in Safina. Finn can't play it. Preston, yes. Jenny, I think, does very well with it. And probably Skids is fine. Death. I see people play this a lot because stacking your intellect is good in this game. Who knew? Getting clues is good. So we'll leave it there. I don't think it's as good as the other ones we've seen so far, but it's reasonable to put it in. Curiosity. While you have 4 or more cards in hand, it gains a couple of icons. If you have 7, gains even more. So big hand archetype, which hadn't really been a thing until a little bit after this expansion. So it's gotten better, but I still don't think it's that good. I think it's... Look, the big hand archetype needs card draw in it. This card doesn't do enough when higher education does it already. It's okay. If you need to fill out your deck slots, it's fine. Connect the dots. So expensive. So hard to make work. But when you do, very good. So I'm going to be funny and put this into trending up for more or less one reason. But actually, I think it's 2. One is you can make this cheaper with a lot of cards. Mostly this is crafty I'm thinking about because it's an insight. So spending 2 is pretty reasonable to do. I think there's other things that will discount it. I can't remember right now, but maybe Agatha's ability can? No, I'm not sure that works. But the real benefit here is that there's more investigators and more ways to move around the map more often. So this ability to just, the reason to leave clues behind and move on to another location, the payoff here actually looks okay. So I like putting this in Monterey Jack, for one. I like putting this into Ursula, who already came out, of course. Joe, it's okay. You can make it work. It's not great in the Hunch deck, but you can make it work. Who else am I missing? I'm missing someone else who came out later who likes to move around a bit. Trish? Maybe? Yeah. I think it's better than people give credit for. It's just people look at the price tag and the fact that you have to, it's limited, right? But look, try to make it work and it's pretty cool. Similar thing. I think people were down on this card for its price tag, but it's cheaper now. Tools are available to more investigators. There's more you can do with this card, I think. You can refill it with supplies more easily. Yeah, I think it's trending up. Mr. Rook has been tabooed, so it's an action, not a free triggered ability. Thank goodness. I I'm going to throw this into trending down for that reason. It's still fine in Mandy, but I don't see people play it outside. Here you go. Busted in Mandy, right? So even just on the surface of it, why is this was this card way, way better than people, maybe the designers thought? Okay, so it's an ally slot, which does mean something. You're not playing Dr. Milan, you're not getting a stat boost, but he has three uses, three secrets. You play him, and you immediately get a card refund. So think back to Scroll of Secrets. Scroll of Secrets also went the other way. So it is one action, draw three. This is one action, draw three. Takes up an ally slot, more expensive. Why is it not the same? Well, first off, there's 2/2 soak attached to it. That's really good. And it's searching the top probably 9 cards. So it's not just maybe you draw a card from the bottom of your deck. It's you find something that you probably want out of those top 9. That's very strong. Additionally, you get a weakness with it. Weaknesses are fine to draw on your own. You don't really want to draw them in every deck, but sometimes there's a card there that you're like, hey, amnesia with no cards in hand, great. So it's not true for every investigator, every set of weaknesses, but most of the time, if you can get them out of your deck, that's way better than having them pop up at a random time. So an action to do all of that is much, much more fair. Crack the case. Still good. Still good. Resources, good. Hawkeye folding camera. This card has gotten better too. I think there's more investigators who care about this. Daryl plays with it very well, but the number of stats, right, that you get from this looks better in the modern card pool. I think I like this better than magnifying glass sometimes. You know, it's not fast. It's not a boost right away, but I can wait. Level 3 Scroll Secrets. Don't play it much because level 0 is so good. So this one lets you look at the bottom 3 instead of the bottom 1. So it's a little bit more comparable to the Mr. Rook comparison I just gave you a second ago. So it's pretty good. I don't think it's done much as far as the card pool goes recently, so we're going to throw it into still good. It's I mean, if you have 3 XP to dump into it, sure, but it's not going to be your first 3. Knowledge is power has been tabooed to cost 2 XP. Maybe 3? 2? 3? I'll look. 2. 2. So, it does some broken stuff. It probably should not be printed. Even at the 2 XP, because 2 XP is not that much. It allows, I mean, you're not going to put it in your deck then, right? If it costs you 2 XP, you're not doing it just to be like, I save 1 secret or 1 charge. That's the end. No, you put this in your deck because you want to use the Necronomicon or something and not spend 4 secrets. Esoteric Atlas. There's a level 2 version now. This one lets you skip 2 locations? No, 1 location. So you go from your location, you skip 1, you go to the next one. It's a nice effect if you have the room for it. I think this requires you to have a lot of campaign knowledge. I think you use it. It's just that why not use Pathfinder? It's okay. Let's put it into still okay. Oh man, Grizzly Totem level 3 is trending up. This card with more skills, practice makes perfect, came out in the next one, right? With more skills, more ways to use skill cards, this is incredible. Giving you the +1 plus the card to replace the skill card. I don't know. Is it one of the best? No. No, these are truly incredible cards. This one's really, really good, but it's not doing anything on its own. Why play this card? I don't know. Let's keep going. Don't give me the Calvin business. He doesn't really need it. Studious is an incredible card. Let's throw it into still good. I think, um, I mean, big hand, it improves your mulligan, right? It improves big hand consistency from the beginning. I don't know. Let's give it another look. I think it's trending up. I think it's trending up with all the big hand support that came later in Harvey Walters, especially. Yeah, okay. Occult Lexicon. I find this is a very fair way to deal damage. It requires you to have cards in hand that you discard. And we're talking about the blood right? And resources. The level 3 version is a bit extra, but the level 0 is it's good. I find it's actually more awkward than people expect because you do have to play it first and then you need to get the other ones into play. Or you get one, but then you need to find the other ones. And you really do need to figure out where those extra cards and resources are coming from. It's still good because you can make that happen, but it's not trivial. Okay. The level 3, because it digs a little bit deeper, I think can get gross, but this one's good. Glimpse the Unthinkable. Level 5, one-time effect. Shuffle any number of non-weakness cards from your hand into your deck. Draw cards until you reach your maximum hand size. Why did this come out in this set? Does Joe want this? Joe want this in the Hunch deck? No? And this is still really good, right? Gets better with big hand, but I'm not sure it's necessary with big hand. What this is if you have amnesia or something, oh gosh, no. Don't, after you draw amnesia, you can play this. Okay, hear me out. It's trending down because it is not that hard to draw cards in this game anymore. There are other ways to do it. Maybe this was a good tech card at one point, but like for 5 XP, so what's the worst thing, right? That you shuffle. I mean, even the first part doesn't matter that much. You just get rid of things that you don't want right now. I mean, it's nice. It's just, I don't think it's 5 XP nice. Finally, on to Survivor. We're almost done. We've got 14 cards left. And Able-Bodied does not have a good home. So Silas, potentially, may have just one item, his harpoon. Maybe. I played this in Agnes once because she doesn't want the items in the first place. That's okay. Rita? She wants her track shoes. I don't think this is a good card. I think this is too awkward. I don't know who really is playing a no item play style. Act of Desperation. Still good. There's more things to throw away now, but this is a cute card. Let's keep going. Oh, track shoes, my beloved. Okay, let's talk. I know some people are not as high on this card as I am because it doesn't allow you to move location to location, and you have to keep going, right? On a map that is sufficiently large, this is, just as good, right? More and more campaigns are that way. Okay, that's only part of the card. There's also the let's take a free test thing, right? Just allowing you to, fail to get your Stella action or something. We'll see another card in a second that combos with this, but that's not even the point of the card to me. It is a slotless +1 agility card. For Wendy, even for Ashcan Pete, like this actually starts to stack up. For Rita, obviously, you get to 6. Incredible. I would put this in Winifred. I would put this in Winifred with Versatile. I think people sleep on the value that this gives you across all those dimensions. To me, it's mostly the stat boost not taking up a slot, which is otherwise harder to get. 3 resources is not that big of a deal. You have Schaffner's now, but this was always good for a lot of investigators. Put it in Finn. He could take it. All right. Oh, no. Okay. So 5 of Pentacles has probably 2 homes. Getting +1 health and +1 sanity doesn't mean as much as, give me soak, right? For putting an asset into play, if it's free, sure, it's better than paying for soak, but otherwise, why not just a teddy bear or leather coat, right? Like, what are you getting out of this? If you're Calvin, having more health and sanity means you could put more damage and horror on you. That's great. This card belongs in Calvin. It'll come out of the binder for Calvin, maybe for Hank, because he gets to use it twice. Once before he gets defeated the first time, and then after that. Okay. That's kind of neat. Are we ever going to see another survivor who wants this? Like, I don't think York cares. Maybe Wendy could, but like I think she's too busy with other cards, other tarots. So, unplayable? No, but it's bad. I actually think very few of the ones in our tier at the bottom are unplayable. Probably like Ghastly Revelation, Ace of Rods doesn't really have a reason to be played outside the campaign. Council Coffer, Warning Shot, those are bad. Like really bad. The other ones, maybe you put it into play and you upgrade out of it later. Here's the one with track shoes. Why did they print this card? I have no idea. So 0 cost talent does not take up a slot when you initiate a skill test. Increase the difficulty by 2, gain 2 resources to draw a card. Every round. This is tons of economy for... I mean, look, maybe you do fail the tests. If you're Stella, that's nuts. You want to fail the test. When I played through Stella on the channel, I kind of thought that sometimes. I was thinking, hey, I wish I could fail this test. The problem is at level 0, this thing has no reason not to be played. Combo with track shoes, where you don't even want to pass the test anyway, and failing does nothing. Failing isn't even an action. It's just free cards and resources. Okay, they have tabooed this one. I believe it is to 3 XP. Just look it up real quick. 3 XP. And that is probably okay. I feel like it should also be limit 1. Limit 1 would be reasonable. Okay, at 3, I think it's still good. It probably should not have been printed ever. Or if it did, it shouldn't be costing 0 and having no slots. But I think they just need to rethink exactly what they want people to do with a card like this. Because sometimes I do agree, like you want to make sure you can fail. But to do this with no consequences whatsoever with track shoes, which came out in the same set, is nuts to me. Maybe it needs to do something if you like you don't get it unless you pass. No, that doesn't seem right. I don't know. Belly the Beast. Hey, you can get a clue if you're Rita. After you successfully evade an enemy by 2 or more, you get 1 clue. It's evidence, but not. This is okay. I wish it did more. I feel like for survivors, you might as well just play Look What I Found. If you could cycle more in Survivor, I think this would be better. Oh, Meat Cleaver, we have a weapon. This is, I think, a pretty good weapon for Survivor who is okay with figuring out how to deal with that horror. Cost 3. Are there better options? The funny part is, even at level 3, like your fire extinguisher only gives you +1. You don't deal with the horror problem, but if you're playing Pete Sylvester, then it doesn't really matter that much. For level 0, this is pretty good. Let's leave it as still good. And I've never played this version of the Tennessee Sour Mesh. So this one gives you 3 supplies. You get +2 willpower for the skill tests. You can discard it and get the automatic evade. Okay. So for Rita, you get an extra damage out of that or a move. Has to be non-elite. Who am I playing this in? Silas? No. I don't know. I have not played this card. So I think it's probably just okay. I don't think it's bad. Guiding Spirit. This is an interesting card to talk about because until now, until Drowned City, we have not had a +1 intellect ally and survivor beyond Granny Orin level 3. So this was your option. The exile part is kind of feels bad for a lot of people, but 3 horror soak for 1 resource and 1 XP is pretty good if you were going to die otherwise. Kind of weird in Rita. I don't think she wants this. And if you've got other soak, this is totally fine. I think this is good in Charlie. This is probably good in Ashcan Pete, maybe. There's some other places. I think this is like really cost effective. It just feels weird because exile is not everyone's favorite mechanic. It's not mine either. So you have to put horror on there. So you don't actually want to put it into anyone who's going to be, failing a lot of willpower tests. So I can see this in Wendy. Has it gotten any better? I think it's just okay. It's only gotten better because I can see Charlie wanting this, but who else we got? We got Patrice? Probably not. No, maybe. Who's next? Silas? No. Edge of the Earth was Daniela? No. Daryl? He's got the level 0-2 Seeker card, so probably no. And then who came out in Hemlock Vale? Hank? No. I don't think it's gotten any better other than Charlie. Fortune or Fate? Cancel 1 Doom, just placed on a scenario card. Exile it. If you need to do that, it's fine. If you want to buy this and put it into your deck at the end of a campaign, pretty good. I don't think it's changed much. We've gotten a little bit better exile cards, but not really. So it's just okay. The level 3 Grizzly Totem on the Survivor side is not a card I played either because I think it's trying to do 2 things at once, right? If you fail, you get the card back, but the card is helping you not fail, right? You're getting an extra instance of an icon, so you're not going to fail. So why are you putting this in your deck? It's got the cool Take Heart combo that everyone likes where you fail and then get it back in your hand anyway. Don't think this card was printed just to do that. So for 3 XP, it's okay. Like Silas doesn't need this, he already has it. And no one else, I think everyone else has something else they want to do with their accessory slot, honestly. Bait and switch. Upgraded version. So level 1, 0 was when it's in Dunwich, maybe? So you can evade and switch places, or you can, right, that's what this one does. The original one evaded an enemy and kicked it away. I think this actually seems really good, but I've never found a place to put it. Like it could be a read it card, but I feel like the deck slots are full of other stuff. Hmm. It's okay. Man, am I just doing this with all of them? Are they all just okay cards? Circle Undone has been a little bit hit and miss. Trial by Fire. Choose one of your skills until the end of your turn. Set the base value of that skill to 5. So we've got a number of people who are like this. To this point, we had Calvin, we had Preston, we had Ashcan Pete, who you play the card and suddenly you can do that thing really well. And afterwards, we have Patrice, we have Hank? Nah, maybe. Charlie. Thinking of all the low stat investigators. Not a whole lot of other ones. Um, it's an expensive card for that. So that's why someone like Preston is probably fine with it. I honestly think this card is just okay. It has a home in a few investigators, but I don't even think it's that great in them. It does a few things, but it doesn't feel like they always need it. Like a dark horse Preston, right? That makes sense. So rather than all the spending money that you can do, Eucatastrophe has been tabooed to be removed from the game after you use it. This is one of the best cards out there. Why? Because the hardest thing to do, or the hardest way that the game can hit at you, often is to make a test that you were going to pass fail from the auto fail. You throw in everything you can, and you still draw the auto fail. It sucks. This card says, nope, actually, you pass. And not even that, it's an Elder Sign. And this card had a lot of good users when it came out. It's got a lot of good users afterwards. It's not cheap, but yeah, it's incredible. It's in the revised core now. I think it's still one of the best. I'm gonna go check what I said this was when I did the first when I did the first video. Okay, I said that it was still good, but not one of the best. Nah, I'm wrong. 7 months ago, me. It's one of the best cards. And maybe I was thinking about it just with the revised core in mind because it was just Wendy. But all the investigators since then, including to this point, and you know, I don't know. I mean, obviously, if when I reviewed that set, it was still within in the mind of the set of all the cards in the game. Um, yeah, the remove from game is a thing now, but I still think that that effect is one of the most powerful things you can do. So it's very very playable and does a lot, just like all the other ones in the set so far. So today that's where I'm putting it. Tomorrow I might put it somewhere different. Last thing is lure, and I got to read this one. Attached to your location or a connecting location. Oh yeah, there was a level 1 version before. During the enemy phase, each enemy that moves does so along the shortest path toward the attached location instead of to where it normally would go. End of the round, it goes away. I think if this card stuck around for like a couple of rounds or something, it would be way better. But as it is, it's very awkward to make it work. I think how does this work with hunter enemies that are in your location? If you throw it onto a connecting location, will it go there instead of staying at your location? Each enemy that moves. Well, it wouldn't move. Let me see if there's a ruling on that. It's just the ones that would move. So actually, elites are not immune to this, which is rare. Is this? It's a trick. Yeah. I'm not sure about this one. There's more you can do. You got Parallel Ashcan Pete now. I think these abilities can be very strong. They're just really awkward to line up properly. And with more investigators who can use the sort of trap mentality, I think it's going to look better, but it takes an action. I can see a lot of uses. Like I can think through playthroughs where I wish I had this, but it's 2 XP and a card in your deck. That's kind of the problem with this game is that you really, really want to throw as much as you can in your deck to deal with the usual situation. Maybe on 4-player, right? Maybe on 4-player rather than not. Like in 2-player, there's just not enough enemies that this would make sense for. I get why it came out in Before the Black Throne, right? If you played that one before, there's a reason why this could do something. But uh, uh okay. Man, does Peril Ashcan Pete want this? Can we do more with this card? Can we do Makeshift Trap and get them to lure into the trap and then they no longer have to move? Or they get blown up with dynamite or the poisonous or whatever it's called? Am I making a case for this card? I mean, that's what I'm here for, right? Why not? Why not put that into trending up? Why not? It's the last one on our list. Okay. Let's see if there's anything I'm missing from the Still Just Okay that really makes you rethink these cards. That's like the whole point of this. So Trial by Fire, I think, is exactly what it was when it came out. And it's not great. I play it, though. Bait and Switch. Okay, there's, again, that same dream I'm talking about. Like, why not put Bait and Switch into trending up? You could throw people into a trap. Because it's 3 XP. I don't think there's anything else there that really is enticing. Let me take away the image so you can see everything along with me. So you can't see this, it's getting cut off, but the other ones on this list here are, this is Cunning, we got Money Talk, Swift Reflexes, and Tennessee Sour Mash level 3 for the Rogue one, and then Swift Reflexes, Swift Reflexes is down on the next row. I don't know, that seems okay with me. Like, there's some cool cards here, but nothing that just screams, hey, here's the home for it. Here's the archetype that really supports this now. All right, looking up here. Hold on, let me make it so you can see more. That's better. Now you can see everything. I mean, this still feels right. Some of them are a little optimistic. Like, probably Hawkeye folding cameras doesn't belong up here, but, you know, I think that the willpower and intellect combination has gotten a lot better over the years, too. I think the well-maintained was also a bit optimistic, but, you know, that's okay. Anything else stand out to me? I don't think so. The bad cards are just ones that I just really would rethink that strategy. And unfortunately, like, I think Five of Pentacles have a home, and so does, like, Henry 1. I can see it, but like, 1 or 2 investigators or strategies does not make it into the next tier. Okay, this feels about right to me, and I hope you enjoyed a little bit of a review, a retrospective over the Circle Undone. At the beginning, I said 2 things. I said, 1, there are some really cool mystic things going on, and 2, there was a lot of like big money support. And the thing that I didn't say at the time was that big money got way more support later. With Return to Circle Undone, with Well Connected 3, with Edge of the Earth, with a lot more payoffs for having money, that archetype actually is real now. So that's why a lot of those ended up in trending up. Actually, it was just Well Connected. I still think Intel Report, etc., those were kind of, they haven't gotten much spicier. Yeah. And then the Mystic Spell thing, it's really just Sixth Sense and Deny Existence, I think. Wither 4 is fine. I think it's gotten better. And then we've got some event things that are on the horizon. Yeah. Okay, so that's true. And what I missed, what I didn't think about originally, well, there was a lot of lackluster survivor cards here, and guardian cards for that matter too. But what I kind of missed was the seeker stuff was also pretty good, like pretty good in all the seekers that have come before and after. And some of these things have gotten easier to play around too. So, all right, I'm done. I'm tired after talking for an hour and a half. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you next time I do one of these for Dream Eaters sometime down the road. Let me know what you think about how these cards have held up, especially if you're a newer player and you've picked up this box later on. If it's one of the last few boxes you've picked up or a recent box, and you've tried to make it work with your existing card pool, do these cards fit in? Are these ones that you're like, aha, now I finally have Sixth Sense or grenades or something? Let me know about that kind of thing down in the comments. See you later.